What if the most dangerous weapons in the world were not held by kings, generals, or gods? What if they ended up in the hands of a group of strangers who started meeting above a foggy void every week? Not because they were chosen, not because they were the strongest, but because one man with a tarot card and a secret needed people he could trust. That is the Tarot Club. And by the end of Lord of Mysteries, these people are sitting on a collection of Grade 0 sealed artifacts. The kind of objects the 7 orthodox churches refuse to even let their own members describe. The kind of objects that carry the warning: do not inquire, do not disseminate, do not spy on them. But here's the real question nobody asks. How did this specific group of people end up with all of it? Who got what? Who traded what? And most importantly, what does each artifact actually tell you about the person holding it? Because in Lord of Mysteries, the artifact always matches the soul. Let us go through them one by one. Klein, the Fool. The Trunsoist Brass Book, Grade 0, Code 0-02. Klein is the man above the gray fog. He sits in a palace of mist that nobody else can reach uninvited, wearing the face of an ancient god he slowly grew into, watching everyone and being watched by no one. He is the leader, the architect, the quiet hand behind almost everything that happens to this group of people. And his most dangerous artifact is not a weapon. It is a book. The Trunsoist Brass Book, Code 0-02. The Evernight goddess herself calls it the Book of Rules, which tells you everything you need to know about how seriously even she takes it. This book was contaminated long ago by one of the ancient Sphirot called the Nation of Disorder. That contamination did something that most sealed artifacts never experience. It made the book alive. Not alive the way you and I are alive. Alive the way a storm is alive. It has direction. It has drive. It has an appetite for something it has not yet reached. The first half of the book already contains almost every fundamental rule holding the world together, written in mercury-colored text. Things like cause produces effect, light travels, matter exists, the foundation's under everything. They are there, in the first half, already written before anyone touched this book. The second half is completely blank, and that is the terrifying part. When this book is left without restrictions, it does not sit quietly and wait. It starts filling in that second half on its own. It writes laws for whatever area is near it. And these are not neutral laws. They are biased, shaped by something, enforced immediately and absolutely. As it writes more laws, it uses the feedback around it to refine them. It patches gaps. It closes exceptions. It builds towards something increasingly airtight. And as its laws get more complete, the living characteristic inside it grows deeper. The more it controls, the more aware it becomes. If it ever reaches the point where nothing in its area escapes its laws, it does not just become dangerous. It fully wakes up. It gains true intelligence. And at that point, it may be able to do the unthinkable. Rewrite the first half, the half containing the fundamental rules of existence itself. The only way to stop it is to trick it. You force it into writing rules that contradict each other until it falls into a paradox it cannot escape and freezes. Klein uses exactly this method to suppress it. But during his apotheosis ritual, when he is ascending to become the Fool, something extraordinary happens. The Trunsoist Brass Book, trapped in its paradox loop inside the Sapphira Castle, breaks free from that loop under the light of the magic wishing lamp. And it begins writing rules that help Klein instead. Rules that protect his ascension. Amon's countless avatars try to cancel those rules in real time. And for a moment, the final battle over divinity becomes a war fought through competing laws written by a living book. It chose a side. In the moment that mattered most, a book made of brass and contaminated by chaos chose the side of the boy from another era who had been pretending to be a god long enough to actually become one. That is Grade 0. That is the Trunsoist Brass Book. Alger Wilson, the Hangman. The Setting Sun Rooster, Grade 0. Sacrifice for advancement. Alger Wilson is not a simple man. He spent years inside the Church of the Lord of Storms, rising through ranks that a man of mixed blood was never really supposed to reach, all while quietly, patiently positioning himself for something beyond what the Church could offer. He is calculating. He is experienced. He gives advice to every member of the Tarot Club while presenting it as self-interest. And he chose the tarot card of the Hangman, the card of someone who sacrifices everything to transcend. He lives that card in ways that are easy to miss until they hit you all at once. After the Tarot Club's operation against the Demonist sect, a Grade 0 sealed artifact called the Setting Sun Rooster falls into the club's possession. This artifact belonged to the Demonist sect and contains power corresponding to a sequence to profane presbyter of the Hangman pathway, the exact angel-level power of the adjacent path Alger walks. Klein sees this clearly and offers Alger a choice. He can take characteristics from the Sun, White Tower, or Tyrant pathways in exchange for the Setting Sun Rooster and use those to advance through a neighboring path. Or he can take the Setting Sun Rooster and shatter it entirely. Crack open a Grade 0 sealed artifact, extract the profane presbyter beyonder characteristic from inside it, and use that raw angel power to advance. Alger chooses to shatter it. He destroys a Grade 0 artifact, because what was inside it was worth more to him than the artifact itself. This is the Hangman doctrine, made physical. Sacrifice the thing to claim what the thing contains. Give up the vessel to reach what lives inside the vessel. Alger had already left the Church of the Lord of Storms. He had already walked away from the Tyrant pathway he spent years mastering. And now he walked away from a grade 0 sealed artifact. 3 things he could have held on to. 3 things he let go. And every time, what he gained on the other side was greater than what he gave up. By the end of Circle of Inevitability, Alger Wilson is a confirmed Sequence 2 profane presbyter. An angel. The hangman is finally, fully, someone who has earned that name in every possible way. Derrick Berg, the Son. The Unshadowed Crucifix, grade 1. This one is technically a grade 1, not a grade 0. But please do not stop reading. Because what makes the Unshadowed Crucifix extraordinary is not the number assigned to it by the churches. It is the blood inside it. Derrick Berg is the youngest member of the Tarot Club. He comes from the City of Silver, a community of survivors living in eternal darkness inside the forsaken land of the gods, a place abandoned by every deity that ever claimed authority over it. His entire arc, from the first moment he appears as a small red gem floating in the gray fog, is about becoming a light strong enough to push back the dark that has swallowed his home. The Unshadowed Crucifix is a bronze cross covered in copper-green patina. Ancient design, ancient energy. Based on Klein's divination, this object once belonged to the ancient sun god himself, the creator of the City of Silver, the father of Adam and Ammon. The man Klein suspects may have been a transmigrator like himself, from another era entirely, who arrived and became something beyond human comprehension. The ancient sun god's divine blood soaked into this cross, and that blood is what it carries. When the crucifix is activated, the copper green falls away and the cross erupts in light so pure it has no flaw in it whatsoever. That light does not just shine, it purifies. Corruption, darkness, evil intent, disease, spiritual contamination, mental pollution, all of it removed from the area completely, not weakened, not pushed aside, eliminated with no trace left behind. The cross also carries sun domain abilities at the demigod level, including the sunflare ability, meaning it is not just a purification tool. It is a weapon of divine light, but it hates other beyonder power. Hold the Unshadowed Crucifix for more than an hour, and your sequence drops by a full level. Hold it for 3 hours, and a non-demigod beyonder becomes an ordinary person. Hold it for 6 hours, and even saints at sequence 3 and 4 will lose every ability they have spent years building. The only ones who are largely immune to this side effect are angels, because their control over their own source of power runs too deep for the artifact to displace. Derrick eventually uses the Unshadowed Crucifix as the primary material for his advancement to sequence 4 Unshadowed. The process destroys the artifact. The cross that once belonged to the god who created everything Derrick has ever loved gives up the divine blood inside it, so that Derrick can take his next step toward becoming the son his people need. In a story full of sealed artifacts that destroy enemies, this is the only one that sacrifices itself so its bearer can rise. There is something very Lord of Mysteries about that. Fur's Wall, the Magician. Solomon's Mask, grade 0, briefly held. Here is where you need to pay close attention, because the artifact trading chain among the Tarot Club members in Circle of Inevitability is one of the most quietly satisfying things Cuttlefish that loves diving ever wrote. After the Tarot Club hunts down and defeats the hidden sage, the spoils are divided at the next gathering above the gray fog. Fur's Wall receives Solomon's Mask, a grade 0 sealed artifact that the Moses Ascetic Order had obtained during the chaos of the War of 4 Emperors way back in the 4th Epic. It is an asymmetrical black and gold mask, disturbing to look at but carrying an undeniable gravity. Its power corresponds to a Sequence 2 Duke of Entropy of the Black Emperor pathway. It can distort rules, dramatically increase the user size during battle, and amplify the beyonder powers of every ally within range around it. This is given to Fur's Wall, the woman who spent years trying not to lose her mind to a king of angels screaming inside her head, who survived by writing romance novels and somehow stumbled her way into the most powerful secret organization in the world. She holds Solomon's Mask, and then she gives it to Zio. This is not an oversight. This is not Fur's being careless. Fur's is a beyonder of the door pathway, a pathway about crossing boundaries, moving between spaces, and eventually reaching the stars. Solomon's Mask belongs to the Black Emperor pathway, a road she has no intention of walking. So instead of holding on to something she cannot fully become, she passes it to someone who can use it better. In the final battle against the Demonist sect, Fur's is not wielding Solomon's Mask. She is wielding the post-apocalyptic scripture, a grade 0 artifact borrowed from Lummi and Lee. And in the middle of combat, she opens it and writes a prophecy directly onto its blank sheepskin pages, that all demigods attacking her will suffer the backlash of their own sealed artifacts through sheer bad luck. She writes it, and it becomes real because she believes it. That is a Sequence 2 Planeswalker, an Angel of Stars of the Church of the Fool writing the future mid-fight, and betting her life that her faith is strong enough to make it stick. Fur's Wall went from almost going insane at Sequence 7 to an angel who edits reality under fire. The artifact she briefly held is not the most interesting part of her story. The story is Zio Derricha, the Judgment, the Pillar of Severity, grade 0. If you ever want to explain to someone what a character arc looks like in the language of sealed artifacts, show them Zio Derrichas. Zio is 152 centimeters tall. She has soft features that make people chronically underestimate her age. Her family name was stripped from her when she was young after her father was accused of participating in a revolt and executed. She came to Backland alone, worked as a bounty hunter in the East Boroughs, mediated disputes for working-class people who had no one else, and built a reputation as someone who would show up and fix a problem with her fists if words stopped working. She follows the justiciar pathway, a path built entirely around law, order, balance, and the enforcement of judgment on things that refuse to stay in their place. When Furs gives her Solomon's Mask, a Grade 0 artifact corresponding to the Black Emperor pathway, Zio holds it for a while. Furs privately notes the high sequence abilities of Black Emperor would suit her. Zio firmly disagrees, and says she has no intention of switching pathways. She has always been Justiciar. She will always be Justiciar. So she makes the trade that defines her arc. Leonard Mitchell had won the Pillar of Severity in battle during the death of Primordial Demonis, taking it from the Demonis of Scarlet. The Pillar of Severity is a Grade 0 sealed artifact with power, corresponding to a Sequence 2 balancer of the Justiciar pathway. That is the path Zio walks. That is her road, her language, her future. A blackened stone pillar with a faint bronze hue, and when its power is activated, bronze letters rise from its surface like verdicts being carved into the air. She trades Solomon's Mask to Leonard for the Pillar of Severity. She uses it to advance to Sequence 2 Balancer before the apocalypse comes. Think about that progression. A girl who lost her family name, who worked as a bounty hunter, who dragged herself into the Circle of Beyonders through sheer refusal to give up, who joined the Tarot Club partly to help her best friend, who became the deputy director of Me9, who stood on the battlefields at the end of the world, who became an angel because she knew exactly which artifact matched her soul, found the person who had it, and made a fair trade. Leonard Mitchell, the star. Solomon's Mask, Grade 0. Now, about Leonard. There's a moment early on in his time with the Tarot Club where he asks to purchase a Grade 2 sealed artifact at a gathering. Grade 2. The other members are trading Grade 0s. Leonard is trying to buy a Grade 2 and accidentally reveals in doing so that he might be an official church beyonder, which causes immediate suspicion around the table. That moment became a running joke among Lord of Mysteries readers. Leonard always seemed one tier below the artifact curve, too busy being cool and poetic and housing an ancient parasite in his mind to be accumulating dangerous objects like everyone else. But here's what actually happened. During the death of Primordial Demonis, Leonard fought and defeated the Demonis of Scarlet, and he walked away from that fight with the Pillar of Severity, a Grade 0 sealed artifact, won in direct combat. Through his own power, his own growth, his own years of grinding for the hardest pathway in the story, while also managing the voice of Palez Zorost coaching him from inside his skull. He brought a Grade 0 home from that battle. He then looked at it and realized something. The Pillar of Severity corresponds to the Justiciar pathway. That is Zio's path, not his. Holding it would be like wearing someone else's name. So he made the trade. He gave the Pillar of Severity to Zio and received Solomon's Mask in return. Solomon's Mask is a Grade 0 sealed artifact corresponding to a Sequence 2 Duke of Entropy of the Black Emperor pathway. Asymmetrical, black and gold, distressing to look at directly. It distorts rules, giganteizes the user in battle, and amplifies the powers of every ally around it. He also separately receives the Creator's Hammer from the Hidden Sage battle spoils, which he reportedly plans to use to build a self-playing piano. A self-playing piano. This is the man holding a Grade 0 artifact of angel-level power from the Black Emperor pathway. He is going to build a self-playing piano with his other artifact. Leonard Mitchell spent most of this story as the member who felt like he was behind the curve. He housed a parasite that gave him knowledge, but slowed his advancement. He fought for the Church of the Evernight Goddess with full dedication, while also being a secret auxiliary member of the Tarot Club. He watched his friends grow to angel level while he kept grinding. And at the end, he walked onto a battlefield against the Demonis of the highest order, won what he needed, made a smart trade, and ended up holding a Grade 0. He was never behind. He was just building slower and more carefully than anyone gave him credit for. That is a Leonard Mitchell move, if there ever was one. Sharon, the Temperance. The box of the Great Old Ones, Grade 0, entrusted for battle. There's one final artifact, and the person trusted to hold it might be the most important detail in this entire breakdown. Sharon is Temperance. She is a beyonder of the prisoner pathway, a former member of the Rose School of Thought who left because her core belief that desire must be restrained and that suffering is born of unchecked wanting put her in fundamental opposition to everything that organization preaches. She appears as a pale, doll-like woman who conveys herself through mirrors and glass. She speaks rarely. She feels deeply. She is the student of the angel of the Holy Spirit, Rionette Tinker. Before the final battle against the Demonis sect, the Tarot Club gathers above the gray fog and does something that tells you everything about how seriously they take what is coming. They sit down and decide together which member should carry which Grade 0 sealed artifact into the fight. Not randomly, deliberately. They discuss. They consider every member's strengths, their pathways, their nature. They decide unanimously that the box of the Great Old Ones belongs with Sharon. The box of the Great Old Ones is one of the oldest Grade 0 artifacts in the story. It was formed from the beyonder characteristic of an angel from the Abraham family in the 4th epoch, who died mysteriously in his own palace, his face frozen in an expression of absolute terror, as if the last thing he saw was something that should not exist. The head of the Abraham family, Bethel Abraham, did not shatter the artifact back into a pure characteristic. He gave a name instead, as if he understood that naming it was the most appropriate thing he could do. The box has 3 layers. The first layer can turn everything in a targeted area into toys and swap that space with a box's interior dimension. The second layer holds records of countless locations across the world. When opened, it transports the holder and every living being nearby to a designated location. Except the word designated is generous. In practice, the destination shifts randomly. You aim somewhere, and the box brings you close to where you meant to go. In the final battle, Sharon uses this layer to send herself and the demoness she is fighting directly into the underworld, trusting the blessing of the Angel of Fate to make her destination real. The third layer is the one no one talks about comfortably. It seals something that has been described as containing power related to primordial hunger, the cosmic instinct to devour everything without limit or end. If the third layer were ever fully opened, the area around it would begin to be consumed. Not physically, not at first. It starts with the subconscious, then memories, then emotions, then flesh, then the concepts of night and day, good and evil, order and disaster. Then it keeps going until parts of the world's fundamental rules begin dissolving from the inside. The third layer can kill a saint instantly, just by being partially open near them. The Tarot Club gives this to Sharon. And the reason they give it to Sharon is not despite who she is. It is because of who she is. She is the person whose entire existence is built around restraint, around understanding desire deeply enough to resist it completely, around looking at the thing that wants everything and choosing to want nothing beyond what is necessary and good. If there is anyone in the Tarot Club who can carry something that punishes desire by devouring everything, it is the woman who has spent her whole life learning that the only answer to hunger is temperance. Sharon also receives the Eye of Omniscience as her own personal spoil from the Hidden Sage battle, a transparent gemstone eye with hermit pathway abilities. But the Box of the Great Old Ones, even entrusted her temporarily, is the moment the story tells you exactly who Sharon is without using a single word of description. The artifact always matches the soul, and the Tarot Club knew that about her before the battle even began. Here is the thing that makes all of this land differently once you see it. Every single one of these artifacts ended up in the right hands. Not by accident, not just by luck, by a combination of battles fought and won, trades made between people who understood each other's pathways, and a leader above the gray fog who knew his people well enough to point them toward what they needed even when they did not know they needed it yet. The Trunsoist brass book went to the man who became the fool, the one person whose ascension it could protect by choosing his side. The setting sun rooster was shattered by the man who named himself after sacrifice, who understood that the artifact was worth less than what it contained. The unshadowed crucifix sacrificed itself for the boy who was always going to become the sun. Solomon's mask passed from first to Zio, and then from Zio to Leonard, landing each time with whoever could best justify holding it in that moment. The Pillar of Severity went to Zio, who had always been justiciar in everything but name. The Box of the Great Old Ones was entrusted to Temperance, because the thing that punishes desire needed to be held by the one person incapable of being consumed by it. The Tarot Club started as 3 people with nowhere near enough power to matter in the grand scheme of the world they lived in. They gathered above the gray fog once a week and traded information and potion ingredients, and occasionally put their lives on the line for people they had never met in person. And they grew, not because they were chosen, not because fate handed them everything, but because they kept showing up, kept making smart decisions, kept trusting each other across the gray fog in a world designed to destroy anyone who trusted anyone. That is the Tarot Club. That is Lord of Mysteries. And if you have not read it yet, this entire breakdown barely scratches the surface of what is waiting for you.